Today, we're diving into WrestleMania's 10 greatest rivalries. And trust me, these aren't your average matches. These are the feuds that shaped WrestleMania, the battles that had fans glued to their seats, wondering what was going to happen next. So let's break them down and see why these rivalries were so unforgettable. Let's kick things off with the rivalry that set the standard for WrestleMania history. Even today, it still gives fans the same chills it did back then. The legendary clash between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. The rivalry between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant is one of the biggest in wrestling history, and it all came to a head at WrestleMania 3. For years, Andre was seen as an unbeatable giant, a friendly presence who rarely lost. Hogan, on the other hand, had risen to the top as WWF champion and was the face of wrestling in the 1980s. Their feud kicked off when Andre shocked the world by turning on Hogan during an episode of Piper's Pit, siding with Bobby the Brain Heenan. The betrayal was heartbreaking for fans, who had always seen the two as friends, and it set the stage for one of the most anticipated matches of all time. At WrestleMania 3 in 1987, over 93,000 fans packed into the Pontiac Silverdome, and the unforgettable moment came when Hogan lifted Andre off his feet and slammed him to the mat, a move that became legendary overnight. Fans loved this rivalry because it was simple but powerful, the unstoppable giant versus the unstoppable hero. It wasn't just a match, it was wrestling history. Coming in at number 2, we've got one of the most unforgettable rivalries in WrestleMania history, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. The rivalry between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels is often called the greatest story ever told inside a wrestling ring. It began in the late 1990s, when both men crossed paths in big matches, but it was years later that the feud truly became legendary. The stage was set for two icons to collide, with one fighting to keep a perfect record alive, and the other fighting to prove he was still the very best on the grandest stage. At WrestleMania 25 and 26, fans got two classics that are still replayed today. Their first battle was an emotional roller coaster, with dramatic near falls and breathtaking moments that had the crowd on edge from start to finish. Their rematch raised the stakes even higher as Michaels put his career on the line against the streak. When The Undertaker finally won, ending Shawn's career, fans were left with one of the most powerful farewells in wrestling. Next up, it's the rivalry that defined an entire era, The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Few rivalries in wrestling history reached the heights of The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. This feud exploded during the Attitude Era. Both men were larger-than-life personalities. Austin, the rebellious anti-hero who fought against authority, and The Rock, the cocky and charismatic rising star. Their paths kept crossing because they were the two biggest names of their generation, and fans loved watching them as much as they loved seeing them clash in the ring. Every encounter felt like a clash of titans, and it always drew massive attention. The heart of their rivalry came at WrestleMania, where they main evented not once, not twice, but 3 times. At WrestleMania 15, Austin defeated The Rock to reclaim the WWF Championship. At WrestleMania 17, they produced what many call the greatest WrestleMania match ever, with Austin shockingly siding with Vince McMahon to beat The Rock. Then at WrestleMania 19, Austin wrestled his final match, with The Rock finally getting his long-awaited victory. Fans loved this rivalry because it captured the essence of the Attitude Era: intensity, drama, and two superstars who could electrify an arena like no one else. At number 4, we've got one of the most personal and heated rivalries in wrestling history: Bret the Hitman Hart versus Shawn Michaels. The feud between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels wasn't just about championships. It was about pride, respect, and two men who represented very different sides of wrestling. Their rivalry started in the early 1990s when both were climbing the ladder in WWE, often competing for the same spot at the top. As their careers grew, so did the tension, both inside and outside the ring, making their matches feel even more real to the fans. WrestleMania 12 gave us one of the most iconic moments in their feud, the Iron Man match for the WWF Championship. After a grueling 60 minutes, Shawn pulled off the win in sudden death overtime, cementing his place as the man. But the rivalry didn't stop there. The tension boiled over in what became known as the infamous Montreal Screwjob at Survivor Series 1997. a moment that changed wrestling forever. Coming in at number 5, we revisit another legendary clash. The Undertaker versus Triple H, a rivalry that pushed the limits of WrestleMania drama. Their paths crossed many times over the years, but it was at WrestleMania where their feud truly became unforgettable. By the early 2000s, Triple H had become the game, dominating the main event scene, while The Undertaker carried the weight of his undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Their first big showdown came at WrestleMania X7 in 2001, where they tore the house down in a brutal fight. But what made this rivalry special was how it came full circle a decade later, when they reignited the feud during the streak's most dramatic years. At WrestleMania 27 and 28, The Undertaker and Triple H delivered two of the most emotional matches in history. The no-holds-barred battle at 27 left both men broken, but The Undertaker's streak intact. Then came End of an Era inside Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania 28, with Shawn Michaels as guest referee. That match wasn't just about wins and losses. It was about legacy, respect, in the closing of a chapter. Next up, we look back at one of the most celebrated rivalries of the 1980s, Randy Macho Man Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This feud kicked off in dramatic fashion when Savage attacked Steamboat in 1986, crushing his throat with a ring bell. The shocking moment left fans outraged and instantly turned their clash into one of the hottest storylines in wrestling. Savage, with his unpredictable energy and fiery temper, was the perfect villain, while Steamboat's athletic ability and never-give-up spirit made him the ideal hero. The tension built for months, with fans eagerly waiting for the chance to see Steamboat get his revenge on the grandest stage of them all. Their showdown at WrestleMania 3 is still talked about as one of the greatest matches ever. Now, the next rivalry is one that fans still haven't forgotten: Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage. It all began when Hogan and Savage joined forces as the Mega Powers, one of the most powerful duos wrestling had ever seen. Together, they fought off villains and stood tall as allies, but cracks soon started to show. The tension centered around Miss Elizabeth, Savage's manager, who often found herself caught in the middle. Savage grew jealous of the attention Hogan gave Elizabeth, and slowly the friendship that fans adored started to unravel. When Savage finally turned on Hogan, the betrayal shocked the wrestling world and set the stage for an epic showdown. At WrestleMania 5, the Mega Powers exploded in one of the most emotional main events ever. Hogan, the All-American hero, went head-to-head with Savage, who had transformed into a paranoid and fiery champion. Their clash had everything: personal drama, high stakes, and the kind of storytelling that drew fans deep into the rivalry. And that wraps up today's video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss an update, and we'll catch you in the next one. Also, let us know in the comments, what's your favorite WrestleMania rivalry?